Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Podcasting in the Dark. I am your host, Maxim Land. This is episode 2 of this perhaps October exclusive limited podcast series where we're talking about the paranormal and maybe even some urban legends, just some creepy stuff in general to set the mood this October. This episode, I'm joined by a very funny comedian, talented guy who wears a lot of hats. His feature film Killington is now on Amazon Prime, so go check it out. Everyone, please welcome Matt Vita. Matt,
what's up?
Tell me a scary story.
I've got a lot, and it's funny. I know you just plugged my film Killington. Go watch it, which is a feature film we shot in Vermont. But I've had, over the course of the years, a handful of paranormal things happen to me in Vermont.
Really?
Yeah. The first one that ever happened, my friend used to have a house in Vermont, and it was very well telegraphed, like, this house is haunted.
Yeah.
So we used to call it the Blackout Mansion.
Ooh.
Because in order to get through a night, you would drink a lot. But every time I've ever been to the house, like you know, the standard glass is thrown, like you'd be like hanging out in the living room, like you just hear shit crashing.
Like things would break.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Like my friends got stories where I wasn't there of like literally like Thanksgiving dinner and like they're like in their dining room and like in the other room, it's just like chaos.
Really? That's so extreme.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, so it was dark. So I knew the legends before I had gone there, but I've been there once or twice. But one time in particular, we were there and we were partying. And actually, two things happened over the course of that weekend. My friend's brother was going to take a dump. Just gross, not spooky. But he comes running out of the bathroom, like freaking out, and we're in like the other room, like almost can't even talk.
Wow.
Like go, bathroom. So we walked over there, and then the toilet paper, which was on like the far wall, was just slowly going down, and we stood there for over a minute, and it wasn't like it was me and my buddy stood there holding each other like, what the? And it was literally, we watched as the entire roll of toilet paper at that speed just went.
Just like one or two sheets at a time. Just, whoa. Creepy.
Dude, so creepy. And then, so we got so drunk and then I was like, oh, this is why it's called Blackout Mansion. Because like, I was so freaked out. And then like just the vibe, because I feel like if you're like in tune with that kind of stuff, you could kind of sense it. I'm a Pisces. So
does that mean tuned or not tuned?
It means we're overly emotionally tuned to everything.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think, I don't know.
I mentioned this in the last episode and they're going to hear me say it throughout this whole series, but I get really spooked by that stuff and it makes me really anxious.
Are you a Pisces?
No, I'm a Leo.
Same thing. I don't know anything about that. But anyway, so then like we get really drunk and the vibes, like I'm like in the bed. I remember like, just like, you know, next morning we wake up and at some point we went up into the attic. And like the attic was supposed to be off limits because apparently that's where someone had died. That's like why the house was supposedly haunted.
Oh.
And next day we went up into the attic and carved into the wall, which I was told was not there the day before or the week before, was just like Old English, HALLO, like hello.
Ugh. Gross. That's so creepy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm getting like a little bit of goosebumps just thinking about this. So then like, you know, got even drunker than the night before and then I was like, I'm out of here.
So was this a place your friend owned and lived full time, or was this like a getaway kind of cabin? It
was a family house of theirs. Yeah. So my friend did not live there full time.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how anyone would be able to.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if glasses are breaking and stuff, like, that's a lot.
Yeah. So
also calling it Blackout Manor, it's like, my mind is like, oh yeah, that's like a punk house, but you're like, no, you get blacked out to not be anxious all night.
Yeah. But it's funny, a punk house. No, yeah, that's a fight the anxiety.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah.
Is that like a recent one you experienced? Was that?
No, I was in college when that happened. So
a while back.
Yeah. I mean, how far back do you think? No.
You seem like you graduated college 15 years, 10 to 15 years ago.
That's so sweet of you. Yeah, no, I'm going to be 40 in 2 months. So yeah, so this was, like 20-ish years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a while ago.
Wow.
I've had a couple more recent ones too.
Really?
Yeah.
Same. You mentioned all in Vermont.
All of the notable story paranormal things that have happened to me in Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had other things, but like things that are like notable where it's like, oh, dude, I've got a story.
Yeah.
All happen in different parts of Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
So I had another one where I was working in Vermont, setting up for the Vermont Comedy Festival. Plug.
Which he's the producer of.
Yeah, I am. Check it out. We just announced Tim Meadows as our headliner this year.
Nice.
Super stoked for that. Shout out Tim Meadows. But me and Colin Doyle, who I run the festival with, it was the night before, and we're like working at like 3 a.m, like cleaning up this room that we're going to throw an event in a building. And there's no one in the building. It's 3 a.m. It's locked. And we just start hearing whistling, but very loud, like kind of like a whistle as you work kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And this building is very well known to be haunted. It's this old woolen mill which houses the Woolen Mill Comedy Club. Shout out.
Also plug.
Yeah, plug. Everything I say is a plug.
Matt's got his hands in everything in Vermont. So
and everything that's dead in Vermont has their hands in me, apparently. Yeah. So that one was just like.
So, that building, having been there once, that would be so creepy because the Woolen Mill is it's like multiple floors of like really long, winding hallways that are all just kind of empty and made of creaky wood.
Yeah. You've been there. You know the vibe. Yeah. So I mean, doesn't it feel ripe for...
It feels totally appropriate that it'd be haunted.
Yeah. So yeah, and to your point, multiple levels. We were up on the 3rd floor prepping for this thing. So there's no one in the building.
Right.
And we were, you heard this. I guess there's a commonality to these stories because we were having a couple beers and then that happened and we both kind of looked at each other and it was kind of like, back to work.
Do you, since you actually run the Woolen Mill Comedy Club, are there do you get weird about closing up the venue there late nights?
Well, Colin Doyle runs the club. I help Colin. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, it's Colin Doyle's club. But I do help. Me and Colin doing a million things together, so I help him out a lot. It's a little closing up. I never get too a little bit to your point. There's great place to shoot a horror movie, which we actually shot a short film that's coming out in a little bit there. But it's like, you kind of want to get out of the building pretty quick.
Yeah. I'm still the type of person when I'm if I'm at my parents' house, which is a great new construction in the last 10 years, right? If I turn off the light in the basement, I still run up the stairs. I
know the feeling. Yeah.
When this is something I talked about in the last episode, do you tell people that you believe in ghosts?
That's a great question. I am openly skeptical to everything, I would say, including ghosts. So I've had these experiences. Clearly, it feels like there's some paranormal energy. What exactly it is? Yeah, I guess I believe in ghosts. You know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, actually, I used to be fascinated by ghosts.
Really?
I was in a special program when I was a child
called the Ghostbusters.
The Ghostbusters. Check it out. It was me and Dan Aykroyd. No, just this whatever kind of Montessori-esque type program. But it was very free, encouraging you to do sort of very research and all that. It was a very young person. And ghosts were the thing that we had to do an independent project every year. And I went hard on ghosts. I was like, dude,
really?
Ghosts. Yeah.
I'm impressed by the fact that you're I'm sensitive to these things, but also your answer to encountering them is just have another beer. I'm very much no, we're out. We're done.
Yeah, well, I guess I was kind of locked in both scenarios. And I had one more. I'll give you a third little tale.
Okay.
Also in Vermont. And this one's probably the creepiest one. And I didn't even drink a beer after this one happened. So just want to break the trend, right? The redirect on the third one, right?
Yeah.
How you do comedy too sometimes. But so I was sleeping. This one is by far the scariest. I was sleeping and I got woken up by the sensation and that physical happening of me getting dragged across and like into the bed I was sleeping in.
Ooh.
So like literally I woke up and I was like, felt myself moving kind of over and in. It was almost as if someone was in like the upper left quadrant of the bed pulling me into it.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I was completely sober that night. Just for context, like I don't even smoke weed. I don't do any drugs. Like I don't do so there's nothing that I ever do that would like warp my state of mental being to like.
What, do you jump out of bed and turn the lights on?
No, that one I was literally, you've probably heard this saying, and I've heard it, but that's one of the few times I experienced, I was frozen with fear.
Whoa.
I was legit, I sat there like that, like literally like scared to even breathe, breathe. And my defense mechanism, I don't know if this is common, maybe like as you talk to other people, I'd be curious if other people who have had that type of experience have had this experience. Frozen with fear, literally like trying to like not even move. And where my brain went in that moment was to just start counting.
Interesting.
So I was just laying there. I'll never forget. I was just laying there in my head, not out loud, obviously, just, I was so freaked out, like just to kind of like focus, I guess, myself in. I was just kind of 1, 2, just like a measured counting. I got to 256 and I was able to fall asleep. And I'll never forget that number, 256.
Jeez, a power of 2. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
Ooh, I would be like, I am up, the lights are on, I am in the car, I am driving out of the state of Vermont.
Well, I was with my pops, and the next morning, like woke up, and I was like literally like, I was trying to play it cool, but I was like literally scared to talk about it in the house we were in.
Wow.
And then like, but we were leaving the next morning anyway, but I was kind of trying to rush up the process. And it wasn't until about an hour into the drive. I guess it's almost like kind of like, I don't know if you're about to break up with someone or something like that, where you have this pregnated thing that like you need to tell someone, but like you're like, scared to do it. Yeah. So like from the second I woke up, I was like, I need to tell my dad this, but I'm too scared to do it.
Wow.
So it was about an hour and a half into the drive when we were on the highway, driving out of the state of Vermont, where I was like, I was like, Dad, I got to tell you something. And I fucking told him the whole thing. And my dad, God bless his soul, he's like, I don't fucking believe in that shit. I was like, no, I like this. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I kept telling him, and he kept telling me like I was a fucking moron, and like he doesn't believe in that shit, and I'm full of shit.
Was it his house, or is it like? Where it was like a rental? What was the vibe here?
Where were we? I forget.
Because I feel like that's the type of thing, like if it's his house and he like lives there and you tell him that, he's like, no. No,
I think that's just my dad. My dad's really, like kind of a tough cookie. And honestly, I was so terrified. I was like, I'm never going back to that house. I'm never going back to Vermont. I'm never doing it. But like, because, there's something to be said about that type of, I guess, parenting, because I was like, all right. And I knew it. I'm talking to you about this experience. And I'm just like, yeah, I know that happened. But you know what? Dad's right. Like, I don't believe in what just happened to me.
You're like, I only counted to 256 without moving a single muscle in my body out of fear.
But he literally like kind of like whipped me into being like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. No doubt. Go.
Wow. Jeez. I feel like that is like the thing I tell myself watching horror movies. Okay. Sometimes I get sucked to and I go, it's just a movie. It's just on the screen. We're all good. Right. It's not happening in real life. Like I watch in October, I watch horror movies with my wife. We, just like Halloween month. Yeah.
Nice.
But I'm the type where I have the pillow like this and the hood up. And when things get too scary, I cover my ears. And sometimes when we go see a horror movie in theaters, I have to like really try to be cool because I'm like, I can't.
Do you bring a pillow?
No. I'm like, you got to be normal in the theater. You got to be stoic in the theater. So just like,
maybe bring an airplane pillow. One of the little ones. You could be,
that'd be great.
That's small enough. You put it under your sweatshirt or something.
Yeah. Then I gotta be like, it's not real. It's cool. Like, I don't know. There's something about like daytime also, I think helps. Like at night, right. It's almost like at night, if you encounter something like that, you don't want to go out and be like, oh, I'm going to go down the hallway and wake my dad up or like do anything. You're just like, I'm going to stay right here and wait until the sun comes up and then I'm going to move.
Dude, 100%, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny about, I guess, human nature and just whatever. But yeah, I was like, all right, if the sun comes up, I'm good, you know?
Yeah.
Which is so weird. And I guess true about it. Yeah.
It's like, it's so, it's such a comforting thing. And I guess like last step, I don't want to keep repeating stories throughout the series, but last episode we talked about how I stayed in like basically a haunted cabin a month ago for my wedding. And it was great. It was fun.
Did you know going in it was haunted?
Yes. Because we've been there a few times and then the haunting kind of revealed itself to us and the owner confirmed. But it's like a friendly energy. Like, it's not friendly. It's just there. It doesn't feel like it's trying to get you or malicious or anything.
What, unless this is a repeat from episode 1, that would be repetitive. What was like the craziest or most like?
It was like the first night we were there, like we were all in the living room and like a light basically exploded in the kitchen. And then that night at like 3 or 4 in the morning, when my whole family's asleep, we're all sleeping in separate rooms. The intruder alarm goes off and we all like run around and like try to figure out how to turn it off. And as soon as my stepdad gets in front of the switch, it just shuts off. He doesn't touch it or anything. And then we were like, that was weird. And the energy's kind of weird, you know?
Yeah.
And then further on, like the owner came to visit and was like, oh yeah, there's something in here, but it's not malicious, but it's a creepy enough energy that sometimes in there, I'll just get like a rush of anxiety when I'm trying to sleep. And I'm just like, I will like sleep like this until morning. Just
Don't
like,
let the spirits in my ears.
Yeah, when the sun comes up, I'm just at a beautiful cabin.
Right. Where is it? In New York?
Michigan.
Oh, in Michigan.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, really old cabin. But I feel like New England, everything is super old. So you can have a lot of that lingering energy.
Yeah, that's the thing. You asked, like, oh, do I believe in ghosts? And I guess I do, but I'm also just kind of like open to like different interpretations. So I feel like energy, like energy is such a thing in the universe. So whether, you know, like I feel like one explanation of ghosts has been, I did a lot of research as a youngster, where it's just like energy imprints, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's kind of like, oh, if someone's done this every, you know, so say someone came and sat on this couch and drank a coffee every day for their entire life, they lived to 85 and then they died. There's something about just that energy going through the universe where who's to say exactly what it is, if it's a spirit, if it's a ghost, or it's just energy. But there's been, you know, like, oh, there's something where maybe this couch will creak, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of a thing where it's like, oh, there's a little moisture here from like the residual coffee cup that isn't there, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know where I stand on it, but I just go like, I guess just knowing well, I cannot believe I am blanking on the name. The radio frequency spectrum, where it's like, oh, the visible light we can see is this piece of the spectrum, and the audio range we can hear is this piece. Right. And there's still all these other frequencies and ranges that something could exist on that we would have no way of detecting unless it blurred over. But I don't know.
That's super. Yeah, I feel like actually you're sparking like an old memory about like when parapsychologists come in, which is like, you know, like when they're studying for that. I do feel like they bring in some sort of, I forget the tool,
a spectrometer
or something. Yeah, I think that's one of the ways that they try to. I'm gonna do some follow-up research. Maybe have me back next year. but I bet you there's something really to what you're saying and what I'm saying with energy and all this different thing.
You'll come back next October, full ghost hunter mode. You're like, I don't do movies, I don't do comedy, I don't do anything. I hunt ghosts in Vermont.
I have a freaking spectrometer strapped on my back like a Ghostbuster. All right, let's see what kind of.
Yeah, we'll do some EVP readings these podcast episodes, but
that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, who knows if it's an imprint, if they're like conscious beings or whatever. Like, I think I've been kind of like a Buddhist kick, so I've been learning a lot of Buddhist lore.
Okay,
and they have like the hungry ghosts, which is like a hell realm beneath ours. So there's like humans, animals, and then hungry ghosts are beneath that. Okay, and it's basically people who died and are become like ghosts,
right?
But they're like reincarnated as basically spirits who are trying to fulfill their needs, which is like their hunger. Like, so it's like, but all the different realities are just like superimposed upon each other. So it's like, oh, if you come into contact with the hungry ghost, in their mind, it's not like The Exorcist, right? Where they're like be gone in the name of Christ. It's kind of like and don't come after me, listeners. This is what I'm gathering from my reading, but it's like the Buddha is like, show compassion for the hungry ghosts because they too want to be reincarnated into like human forms and be fulfilled.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, oh, you see a hungry ghost. The key is just figure out what it wants and be nice to it and give it to it. And maybe everything will be cool, you know?
Very, very Buddha. Very Buddha.
But it also, that lines up very much with like every ghost horror movie ever.
Yeah.
Like, unless the ghost is killing everybody in the house, it's like, what does it want? What's the piece of the puzzle, you know?
Yeah. That's like another thing. We're out of like, oh, how do you wind up into this like spirit realm of like haunting? Yeah, it's typically someone that's got an unfulfilled, earthly desire. Now, you know, you're in this liminal state where it's like,
I'd love to hear from the owners of Blackout Manor about what the list of things they've dealt with in there and if they've taken any steps to address it.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen that pal in a while. We're due for a catch up.
For a catch up. Yeah. Hey, good to talk to you. I've become a ghost hunter and I'm really curious about that house.
May I bring my spectrometer over? I've got a 30 pack.
So in Vermont, have you had other friends that have like experiences like this?
Nothing that pops out. No, I can't think of a story off the top of my head where someone else had like, I have like those 3 stories are like the ones that are like, I feel like pretty good stories to tell.
Those are great,
and kind of like gnarly things that happened. I can't think of any off the top of my head where another friend's got something on that.
Because I mentioned this last episode. It's interesting how few people come to you and go, I had this crazy ghost thing happen to me.
Right.
Like, I feel like that's something through talking to people, everyone kind of believes a little bit, but then when someone has something happen, they're like, I only have one person or 2 people I can confide in that won't call me crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I had one friend once tell me, at another place we stayed in Vermont, like in the morning, they woke up and they're like, I saw a little girl spirit like by the bed. And actually, I kind of blocked that one out because I was just like, well, that's just creepy as shit.
Yeah.
Right? Is there something creepy about just like someone standing?
Yeah, I think like you ever get it when you're like driving at night and in your peripheral vision, you think you see people standing by the road. Because, like that kind of same like that like momentary lapse of like a figure that's there.
Yeah.
Oh, if there's someone standing by my bed, I would never be in that room ever again.
Well, I've had, and this I know is not ghosts, but do you know about like sleep paralysis?
Yes.
So I used to have it. I haven't had it in a while. Thank God, because it's scary as all hell. But I used to have in my 20s like pretty bad sleep paralysis. Really? And one time, I'll never forget this. And I know this is just I'm not claiming this is anything other than a sleep disorder. But it was terrifying nonetheless, where I woke up, because a lot of times with sleep paralysis, if your listeners don't know, is you basically you partially wake up. So a lot of times like your brain is still in dream mode, but like parts of your physical body are awake. So like your eyes will actually wake up, so you could kind of see your surroundings, but you're still in dream mode. So your body's frozen and your mind's kind of halfway between reality and dream zone. So that happened to me, and I woke up in my old bedroom. So I'm seeing my real bedroom, and you're conscious to the point where like you're in the space, but there's still a dream overlay. And in this particular instance, the devil opened my bedroom door and just stood and stared at me.
The straight up devil.
The straight up fucking
just
devil.
Like red skin, horns, the whole thing.
The whole deal. Just like the devil.
Oh my God.
No, devil.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So I was like, and once again, I know this was just a really bad nightmare in a state of consciousness where I was also partially awake. So I'm not claiming that was the devil.
Wow.
But I am claiming that was terrifying.
That is like, and when you have it and you try to scream, but you can feel that your mouth doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm just laying there like this. And it's just the fucking, maybe about where that C-stand is, just off camera. That's just the devil standing there.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. I'd lose it. That's too much. The one time I had sleep paralysis that was like that pronounced was in high school, and I had my mattress on the ground on the floor in my bedroom, high school boy. And above my bed, there was like a hook for hanging paintings that I just never hung anything on.
Okay.
And I woke up, and for whatever reason, this hook transformed into this huge spider. And so my sleep paralysis is the spider crawling down towards me. Like,
oh yeah,
I pulled out of it. I mean, it wasn't like I saw a demon or anything, but I was like, that was terrifying in a really special way. Like, it's crazy that this just happens to people.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you've dealt with it, so you know, but like, yeah, sleep paralysis is so gnarly and terrifying.
Yeah. There's nothing like seeing. I feel like in our daily life, when we are so prepared to, if we see something dangerous, here's how we're going to react to it, or here's how I think I'm going to react to it. But then in sleep paralysis, you're like, I am inventing a world of nightmare and danger, and I can't do anything about it.
And you are literally frozen with nothing to do, but just taking the sensory aspects of this hell that you've created in your mind.
1, 2, 3.
Going too fast, bud.
4. Oh man. Well, thank you for sharing those. Those are all very scary. And I don't think if I got pulled into a bed like that, I don't think I would shut up about it forever.
Well, get an Italian father that shames you into not being scared, and then you'll be cured.
What you don't see is him going to bed at night, just being like, "Oh my God, please no," like just praying by his. He totally believed you. He just wanted to seem nice and calm and collected.
Well, he fooled me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes,
this has been great checking in and talking to you and catching up a little bit about your scary experiences. Once again, Killington on Amazon Prime. Do you want to give a quick overview of the movie?
So we shot it in Vermont. I forget if I mentioned that up top. It's a campy horror movie, perfect for the Halloween season. It's about a group of women from Manhattan that win a getaway with like a wellness guru, played by Sophie Sumner, winner of Next Top Model, star of the movie. And then when they get up there, there's a lot of local creepy vibes. There's a guy in the film. It's me.
It's you.
That plays like the local creepy guy. And let's just say it gets crazy.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's fun, campy.
Hell yeah. Guys, go check it out. Go support his project. Go check out Killington on Amazon Prime. And go to the Vermont Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
And Wool and Mill Comedy Club. And just go to the state of Vermont. Matt Vita is basically the mascot.
Yes.
Well, appreciate you being on.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking. Here. Guys, thank you so much for listening. And we will talk to you all next episode. Bye.
Bye.